I've never played a Monster Hunter game before. For some reason I had this belief that this is one of those titles where you need to spend hundreds if not thousands of hours to be able to truly appreciate and enjoy the game, but how fun could it be for new players like me? Having so many reviews and guides for beginners from veteran players, I wanted to approach this review differently and give a clearer version of what the newcomer experience might be for those who have never touched a Monster Hunter title. So if you're also hesitant about the game, this video is definitely for you. And seasoned players, well, I hope this video can bring back the memories of your first experience with Monster Hunter World. And I don't mean reviews of experienced players are not valid for new players. No, I'm sure they provide a lot of useful information that will make you love the game before you even start playing it, showing you the stuff you probably struggled figuring out by yourself. But sometimes when you spend too much time in the game, it might blur your vision on some problems that inexperienced players may face. And trust me, I am a Soulsborne fan. I know what I'm talking about. That said, what can I say about Monster Hunter World as a newcomer? Well, it's awesome. I don't know if you know, but this is the game where you can hunt monsters. Crazy stuff, I know. Of course it's awesome. It's a game where you need to track and hunt giant-ass monsters wielding an equally giant-ass weapon, and I want to wield a giant-ass sword and hunt giant-ass monsters. And the crazy part is that I don't think any other game can give you the same feeling. Since I wanted to experience the game as it was intended, I decided not to use the defender's armor and weapons. I intentionally haven't watched any guide or tips and tricks type of videos to see if I can enjoy and figure out the game by myself. And see if I can figure out organically during the game, or else known as the fuck around and find out way of exploring the game. So I hope this video will add more unique information to the discourse and paint the full picture of what Monster Hunter World might be for you. But first things first, let's clear some things out. The main reason why I was avoiding Monster Hunter this whole time was because I hate when games force you to grind. And by that I mean clear locations out again and again just to get that one item that has a 0.000069% chance of drop rate. And if you don't get this item, you'll have harder times later in the game. This is why I don't play MMOs, and this is why I was skeptical about Monster Hunter World. And if you're like me, I have great news. Grinding Monster Hunter is mostly optional, and even when it's not, it's still fun. Yes, if you want the best gear in the game, you'd probably have to sweat a lot to craft it, and yes, the right build is important and its creation is an essential part of the Monster Hunter experience. I'd even say it adds to this hunter narrative where you need to adjust your weapon and armor choice based on the weaknesses of a monster for a successful hunt. But even then, the progression is so smooth that I didn't pay a lot of attention to the stats during my base game, casually upgrading my weapon and crafting armor pieces that I liked visually. You still get enough materials from beating monsters following main quests, and as for consumables, you just need to train yourself to pick everything you see on your way, especially herbs and honey. Later in the game, you'll be introduced to some mechanics that simplify this process. You could just cultivate it in your research lab and send pelicans to expeditions for materials, and it's all done in the background. Oh yeah, they have cats, but let's not get sidetracked. If I wanted a certain fancy piece of gear that would complete my drip and fulfill my desire to slay on the battlefield, and I don't mean slaying monsters, obviously, I did optional quests or just went on expeditions to get the materials I needed. But what about the late game? You definitely need a good build to at least not faint the second you start a fight. And to that I'll say, if you start thinking about that, joke's on you. The game already got you. you lost. You're now one of those who willingly spend hundreds of hours in the game and will want to grind for a better build. And to your luck, my newborn addicted friend, grinding in Monster Hunter is built different, because you don't need to go through the boring parts again and again to get to the boss and then maybe have a chance to get what you need. You just dive into the action right away. Sometimes literally right away. Doing what this game is about in the first place: hunt giant ass monsters. And combat is a huge part of why grinding is not boring in this game. I don't think I can add any new information about the combat, since obviously it's one of the strongest parts of Monster Hunter. All I'll say is that you will struggle at the beginning while trying to figure out the controls and, what's more important, the pacing. Depending on your gaming background, it'll happen faster or slower, but you'll figure it out. Me, it was quite fast. I believe because of the similarity in fundamentals with the combat of Souls games. Every input has consequences. If you do a hit, be ready to get punished for it. Combat in Monster Hunter is not about random button mashing, but about the precise movement and right timings for attacks. But there can't be any precise moves until you learn your weapon. So learn your weapon. There are 14 types of weapons. You could easily find what fits your playstyle. Fuck around and find out. I didn't want to be like Asmongold.
Oh my god!
And also I'm more of a dynamic playstyle enjoyer, so I've chosen the Kinsack Glaive, and yep, I am that guy who floats around the monster like an annoying fly as long as I can just to deal 5 damage. As I became more proficient with controls and the game itself, I wanted to try other weapons like the Greatsword.
Oh!
And I don't recommend you learn your weapon hunting Kushala. Maybe choose something less punishing like Kuluyaku. When I just started playing Monster Hunter, I was wondering what makes people play this game for thousands of hours. Now I get it. Every weapon indeed introduces a new unique playstyle with its challenges that do take a lot of time to master. But oh boy, is it fun to land those heavy hits right in the head. And if the combat system isn't enough for you to override the hate for grinding, add a co-op option on top of that. A hella fun co-op option. Despite the inconvenience in the way it works, there is just something primal to the feeling of you being able to hunt a massive beast with your friends and hearing in a Discord call something like, "Yo, check this out," and seeing how they blow up this poor thing with a huge fucking barrel they just got out of their ass and you didn't even know these barrels exist. The game has so many things it doesn't tell you about. It's amazing. It really gets you immersed in the world because you believe it existed before you came. Oh, you were hunting Poke, or I'm sorry, but Anyanath has been there before you. Now it's Anyanath's prey. Fuck, how do I pronounce it? Now it's his prey. Fuck off. Oh, what were you saying? You were hunting Anyanath and some ginormous dragon that you've never seen before appeared and attacked it? Cry more. Go ahead and try to say to this monster it can't do that. And there are dozens of these random situations that make the world feel alive. The world is so carefully crafted. Every monster, their behavior, the very environment is so well thought out that you just can't help but feel the atmosphere of this world. For me, Monster Hunter World is like a really good sandwich where the combat is the meat and the bread and butter is the atmosphere that is achieved by so many things. By literal food, for instance. Every time before the hunt to get some buffs, you need to eat in the canteen. It's an insignificant but still really important mechanic that could have been done more efficiently and less time consuming, and somebody may find it tedious, but it adds so much character to the game. Of course, a hunter should eat good before he train in fight. I can't get over the fact of how good the character feels. I can tell they are wearing a big ass sword behind that back. Animations are on another level. The way your character reacts to different obstacles, introducing you to different openings for attacks. Hell, they even made a completely different animation of running and dodging if your camera is facing the hunter who's trying to run away from the beast that is chasing them, probably after biting a good chunk of their ass. That is funny. The devs know the game is fun and they're happy to embrace it in these small details. Even though it's a game about deadly monsters and brutal hunters, they don't take it too seriously, leaving some space for goofiness. And you know what else is cool? Cutting monsters' tails off. If you follow this channel for a while, if you didn't, you should. You know, I really like the tail cut mechanic in Dark Souls. I even made a full video built around that mechanic. And in Monster Hunter, you can do that, period. That's what you need to know. This mechanic exists. Just wanted to share my excitement about that with you. So yeah, I'm not sure I've added much to the discourse, since all I did was praising the game like others, but the game is so fun that I didn't even want to look for any negatives. I believe if they didn't interrupt my fun time, they don't really matter that much. What's great about the game is that it is accessible both for those who want to challenge themselves and those who just want to have a great time with their friends and chill and enjoy their hunt in the new world. As a newcomer, this was a fantastic experience. Even though I just scratched the surface and completed the main game, there is still so much to do. I can't wait to finish this video so that I can go back and play it again. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I heard that if you say please consider subscribing to this channel and supporting it with your likes and comments, YouTube will highlight those buttons for you so that you don't miss them. So don't miss them. And yeah, if you think about whether you should try Monster Hunter World or not, you should.